Good day. Welcome to our second videotaping of our local heroes. Clarification from our first one that we did last week. I am not 161 years old, and I was not born in the early 1800s. And I don't need any more comments from the viewers regarding that little bit of information, but a good clarification. One of the reasons why I do what I do, again, is that they say a man or we die twice. We die our physical death, and then we die our second death when we are no longer remembered. So it's my passion to keep the lives of our local heroes from dying that second death. So I want to introduce you today to our new hero today, our person of interest, and this is Joe Akers. And Joe Akers was from Mason. He was born in 1918, and he passed away in 1977 at the age of 58. He was married to Maxine Welch, and they had two children, Russell Akers and Linda Akers. And a little bit of a backstory with the Aker family, with our family. We attended the same church for decades. My daughter had Linda Akers, now Linda Inman, in 6th grade. I was in Russell's wedding as a kindergartner in 1965. And when I first started teaching in Dansville, Maxine Akers had retired. I think she taught in Dansville for 125 years. At least it looked like that was how much was left in that room, and Linda could appreciate that. But I started teaching. I took her classroom in Dansville Elementary back in 1985. So I have a little history with the family. They've been long time friends. Never really knew Joe. He passed away when I was a sophomore in high school. Never really got to know him well. And Linda Akers, maybe a decade ago or less, gave me his archive to celebrate, to protect, to teach, and to preserve. And so I'm really excited today to share some of these things that are outside of the box, outside of the traditional things you might see in a museum and in an archive of somebody from World War II. Joe Akers served in the 32nd Division. The 32nd Division was also known as the Red Arrow Division. It was comprised of mainly men from Michigan and Wisconsin. It was formed during World War I as National Guard. Michigan National Guard, Wisconsin National Guard. And they served in World War I. And if you notice, you will see this red arrow pops up in many of the different archives. And that is the patch and or insignia of the 32nd Division. And that represented the fact that the 32nd Division was the first division to pierce the famed German Hindenburg line of defense. So that became notorious, and that was their insignia for decades to follow. The 32nd Division had logged a total of 654 days of combat during World War II, more than any other division in the entire war. They saw very rigorous and brutal fighting. And most of our archive and our story comes from today called Papua New Guinea. Today it's just New Guinea. But that was where a lot of the fighting took place with the 32nd. Now, New Guinea was, I think, approximately 365 miles from Australia, so it had a significant purpose for the Allies to hold and keep that particular landmass away from the Japanese. So let's get into it, and I'll start sharing some of the archives and some of the pieces that Joe brought back from World War II. And we'll just start here with his belt buckles, and he had several different ones that were to go with certain khakis and certain breeches and pants that would have been part of his ensemble, I guess, back in the day, his fatigues and so forth. We go to his ribbons. He has a Purple Heart, he has a Bronze Star, and a Silver Star. And not being a military person, I don't know the specifics of how you would gain each of those. I know that they're based upon valor, and they're based upon doing something that's above and beyond in a particular battle space, and very, very special awards. We go to some of his ribbons here in this particular case. These smaller arrows would have been lapels for shirts. These are ribbons that would have been worn on uniforms. You have the Good Conduct Medal. You have the Asiatic or Pacific Theater. You have the American ribbon. You have the Bronze Star ribbon and the Purple Heart. This right here, where we talk about the U.S. Army maneuvers, this is just where they would have practiced and or trained before they were sent off to battle. This is a book that shows Joe's proficiency in using the M1 Garand and becoming qualified and being an expert, and then that would have been worn on the uniform after the war. In here, these are really special. These are his dog tags. This piece here, I believe, would have been to clean his gun. You would have put a rag around it with some cleaner, dropped it down the barrel, and then pulled it back out, and it would clean the barrel of the M1. We have Japanese money. We have a jackknife with Joe Akers' initials. We have his soap container with his initials and 4 numbers. I believe those have been the last 4 numbers of his, not a Social Security, but his, and then it just escapes me, I apologize. We have Japanese coins. We have a cigarette case. We have the cigarette lighter with his name on it. And a kind of a very unique, special rolled cigarette here that's still intact to the period of, approximately the 1940s. So that's really unique and rare. We have, these are something he would have swapped with the Australians, the Aussies. These were hat pins. So they wore those campaign hats, and then they pinned up half the hat on one side, and this would have been on the exterior of the hat that flipped up. And that would have been the same thing, just a smaller version. This is a ribbon that he would have worn to a reunion. So he would have, maybe they met in Cincinnati or Cleveland or Milwaukee or Detroit, and then they would come and they would wear those name tags, and that's what that represents. Moving over to the center of the table, we have some Japanese. These are battlefield pickups, a Japanese flag that flew at probably somebody's desk. These are very unique Navy patches that are pretty much handmade and theater made. And I don't know much more than that. And then this is certainly an official Navy patch. These are kind of cool. These are what we call trench art, and they are salt and pepper shakers from, I don't know if that's 50 caliber or not, to be totally honest with you, but they certainly are shells, and they made salt and pepper shakers out of those. This is a unique piece, and what I like about this archive that Joe brought back was that he brought back some things that represented the people, the indigenous people, and the people that he was, defending and working with to defeat the Japanese Empire. This was an armband that someone would have worn up around their upper arm, and kind of like, you just see exactly what it is, handmade, hand-woven, and very unique. Could have been a friend of his. Maybe he handed it to him as a sense of, pride and remembrance, and it could have really special meaning, and maybe he picked it up at a flea market. You don't know. I don't know that. These are very cool. These are the ends of different kinds of spears. So certainly fishing was a big part of the New Guinea diet. And you can see these are all handmade, very, very intricate, very neat in terms of each one having a little bit different type of approach to, killing a fish. So perhaps every spear had a different species of fish that it was most effective to or with. But again, you don't know those things, and those are all parts of, trying to find the mystery. I always said if you really want to you enjoy history, you have to have some creativity, but you have to have an imagination, and you have to be curious. And so with your imagination and your curiosity, you can start to connect and then research and then continue to build a story. This is really unique. This is his diary, and this is his Company B, I believe the 126th Infantry of the 32nd Division. And every one of these men has signed this diary. And I'm not going to go through each one of those pages, but I do have some of the things that they said. And I'm going to read a couple of them. And this is before they went to war. As sure as the grass grows around the rafter, 50 Japs is what you're after. P.S. You'll get 'em too. Another soldier wrote, remember as a pal in weapons platoon. Another soldier wrote, look me up when this show is over. Another soldier wrote, when we get out of this damn jungle, we'll have to all sit down and have one together. And last but not least, another soldier wrote, if you find me somewhere in the jungle, I'll shut up. Just write my dad and tell him Ronco couldn't run fast enough. So there was still some lightheartedness. There was still some, maybe nervous tension, but they had not yet actually spent the time in the jungle as they were soon to have happened. Moving on to another piece of local native dress is this skirt made and woven from bamboo or whatever material this would have been. Very tightly woven up here at the top around the waist. Picture of actually a native wearing the skirt or the outfit. This is I guess you would call this a machete. I don't know if it's U.S. issued or not. I don't have any markings on it that I could find. But this would have been used to certainly cut through the jungle. They had really, really difficult conditions. They fought up in the mountains, and they had some of the most dense jungle terrain than anyone anywhere in the war. His K-bar certainly, and simply a canteen. And then we come to his uniform in closing. And this would have been they consider this a frock jacket. This all has different kinds of emblems, and his combat infantry badge is right here, the blue one. We've already gone through the ribbons. The different clovers or stars represents the number of campaigns that he would have been involved with. This was his pin that marked his unit, kind of was his mantra. And this basically concludes Joe's collection. And what I liked about this collection was that it has some things that are certainly tied to military and to the war itself, but also liked how it brought into the narrative about the people and the culture and some of the artifacts that would have represented the New Guinea lifestyle, and those are pretty special. So thank you for sharing number 2 with us. We have a lot of different ideas, and we'll continue doing this, and looking forward to your comments, and hope everybody has a wonderful day.